It's been 7 months since the last one. My bad, dog. But welcome everybody to another Chronexialogy! If you're new to the series, let me catch you up to speed. We take an anime's convoluted timeline and we sort it out in the most spoiler-free way. So far we did the Toaru franchise, also known as Reldex, then we sorted the Monogatari anime. After that we covered the Nasuverse, which is pretty much the Fate/franchise, and the last one was the Danganronpa timeline. If any of those pique your interest, feel free to look them up, but today we're tackling another pretty sizable beast, the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I always try to be as inclusive as possible with the material that's available, but to keep things clean, I stick to anime content only. Mangas and light novels will drench out this way too much. When it comes to anime timelines, there's two possible ways to tackle a show, the broadcast order or the chronological order. For the most part, I always recommend newcomers to start off with the broadcast order, as that was the intended way the show weren't meant to be experienced. Haruhi Suzumiya is the exception to this rule. The very first season is extremely confusing. Some people say it adds to the mystery and that it spices up the plot, just like a jigsaw puzzle you have to figure out, while others think it's an unnecessary hurdle. I'm not telling you which order to take, that's up to you, but I will detail both, starting off with the broadcast order since it's the simpler of the two. Season 1 of Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya started airing in 2006. It has a dub which was quite decent considering it's one of those early anime to get dubs. Back then, dubbing anime didn't have the prestige it has today, so a lot of shows were done half-hassedly. But thankfully they did this one justice. So the story begins with Season 1, from episode 1 through 14. 3 years later, in 2009, there was another season, episode 15 to 28. Episode 16 through 23 got labeled by the anime fans as the infamous Endless 8. The Endless 8 was a Groundhog Day experiment. It was the same episode over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Think that was annoying? Imagine sitting through the same 24 minutes long episode 8 times in a row. Anyway, after that came the movie, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, one of the finest anime ever produced that words alone cannot simply grasp its magnificence, and that's still even underselling it. But now let's look at the chronological timeline instead. The very beginning of the event should start off with episode 2 for the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya's arc. That's right, you should skip episode 1 entirely. Next is episode 3, 5, 10, 13, and finally 14, that covers the first arc. After that is episode 4, The Boredom of Haruhi Suzumiya, and next you'll want to jump all the way to season 2 with episode 15 for the Bamboo Leaf Rhapsody. This is a Paramount episode if you want to watch the movie. But next you should come back to episode 7 in the first season, The Mysteric Sign. After that came episode 6 and 8, The Remote Island Syndrome Part 1 and 2, and then the Endless 8, 16 to 23. Still with me? If you made it through the Endless 8, the next arc would be The Size of Haruhi Suzumiya, episode 24 to 28, but it's not quite over. After this, the chronological events bring you back all the way to the very first episodes of 2006. Follow that with episode 12, 11, and finally episode 9. Once you're through it all, either with the broadcast order or the chronological one, that's when you should watch the movie, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. Now, regarding the Endless 8, both in the broadcast order and the chronological one, it's possible to skip that torture. Not everyone is a masochistic completionist, and honestly, that's probably for the better. If you do want to skip the Endless 8, I still recommend you check out the first 2 episodes of it and the final episode of the Endless 8. That would be episodes 16, 17, and 23. If you're still confused, check out the link in the description. There's a link with a very clean and detailed diagram of how you should watch the series, but that's not all that was made. To celebrate the anime getting more episodes, Kyoto Animation did 25 short episodes of 5 minutes called The Melancholy of Haruhi-chan Suzumiya, which only aired online. Same thing with Nyoron Churiya-san. Those were parody spin-off series that has no impact whatsoever on the timeline. Broadcast-wise, they came out just before the 2009 season, so we would place them between episode 14 and 15. Chronologically, however, it doesn't affect the timeline, so you could watch them whenever, or even skip them altogether. But if you do, I'd recommend seeing them anytime after the 2 seasons. And that's almost all of it. There's the last bit I have to cover that's called The Disappearance of Nagato Yuki-Chan. This is an anime that came out in 2015, and it was an alternate universe of the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. That anime followed Nagato, which is a secondary character in the franchise of Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, from another timeline, and it has no impact on the story in any regards. If you want to watch it, broadcast-wise, it would be after the movie. Chronologically, it's unrelated. You could watch it first or after, it wouldn't matter. Although some rare reference might be missed if you do start with it. All in all, the reception of The Disappearance of Nagato Yuki-Chan was pretty mild. You could do without, but that's just my honest opinion. That's all that's related to the anime of Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I mean, as of now, if as usual they come out with a sequel, a prequel, or anything in between in the upcoming years, there's no way I could have known about it, so keep that in mind. Viewers from the future, I hope you have flying colors finally. Thanks for watching, feel free to look at any links in the description. There's a visual, concise timeline to simplify all I've said. Have a good watch, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Through the hard times, I've been on the wrong side, I've been ashamed. So many memories, you know I'd like to change.